What's the real difference between a good hotel team and a truly exceptional one? It's not some kind of magic, it's actually a specific set of skills that any leader can learn. So, over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the essential building blocks that can transform a group of employees into a motivated, high performing team. Let's dive in.
So what's the real secret here? Is it about finding some magical superstar employees? Or is it something that any leader can actually build and grow within their team? Well, it turns out the answer is all about a few fundamental skills that build on top of each other. And it all starts with the foundation. And that foundation, it's all about communication. I know. It sounds simple, right? But think about it for a second. Powerful leadership, amazing teamwork. None of that is even possible if we haven't first mastered the basics of how we listen and how we speak to each other.
Okay, so the very first tool in our communication kit is something called active listening. And this is so much more than just hearing words. It's about making the other person feel genuinely, completely heard. It's a technique where you focus all your energy on them, which not only stops mistakes before they happen, but makes people, whether it's a guest or a team member, feel seen and valued. So, how do you actually do it? Well, it's pretty simple. It breaks down into 3 keys. First, you've got eye contact. That shows you're actually paying attention. Second, a simple nod here and there. It's like saying, "I'm with you, keep going." But that third one, paraphrasing, that is the real powerhouse. That's where you prove you are really listening. And let's look at a perfect example of this in action. The supervisor doesn't just say, "Got it." They repeat the guest's 2 specific problems right back to him. Okay, so the room is too cold and the AC is making noise. In that one sentence, they confirm they understood, they show some empathy, and they promise the guest that the right problem is going to get solved. That's a total game changer. All right, so once you've got listening down, we got to flip the coin and talk about speaking, specifically how to give feedback. I mean, how do you correct someone's mistake without totally crushing their motivation? Turns out there's a really practical tool for that. It's called the feedback sandwich. And here it is, the famous feedback sandwich. It's a really simple but brilliant structure. You start with the top slice of bread. That's a specific and genuine piece of praise. Then comes the meat. That's the clear, direct feedback about what needs to change. And you always finish with the bottom slice of bread, a bit of encouragement that shows you believe in them. It just makes tough conversations so much easier to swallow. Let's just break this example down. Notice how specific it is, right? The compliment, spotless rooms, that's real. The correction, check the minibar, is super clear. But the ending is the best part. It reminds Maria that she's a detailed worker, so she walks away from that conversation feeling capable and valued, not beat down. Okay, so we've got our tools for listening and speaking. Now we got to think about the framework we use these tools in. And that brings us to our next big building block, your leadership style. Because how you communicate is going to come directly through how you lead. But before I just list out the different styles, think about this for a second. Would you lead your team the exact same way during a fire alarm as you would during a chill, creative brainstorming meeting? No way, right? Of course not. Great leadership isn't about being stuck in one style. It's about being flexible and knowing which style the moment calls for. And that's the whole ballgame, right? Knowing which tool to pull out of the bag. You've got the autocratic style, which is essential in a crisis. No discussion, just go here, do this. Then you have the democratic style. This is collaborative, perfect for something like asking the team, "Hey, how can we make breakfast service better?" And finally, laissez-faire, which is all about trust. You let your expert concierge handle that VIP visit because you know they've got it. The best leaders, they don't just pick one, they can switch between all 3. All right, we've laid the foundation with communication, we've built the framework with leadership, and now we get to the very top of the pyramid, the peak. This is the engine that makes the whole thing run, motivation. This is what turns just doing a job into really caring about the work. So, motivation really comes in 2 flavors. You have extrinsic motivation, that's the external stuff, like bonuses, employee of the month, a pizza party, and those are fine, they work, but their effect can be pretty temporary. The real long-term goal is to spark intrinsic motivation. That's that internal fire, that feeling of pride you get from mastering a skill or just knowing you did an amazing job. That's the stuff that really sticks. So how do you light that internal fire? Well, one of the single most powerful tools you have is empowerment. And all empowerment really means is giving your team member the authority to solve a guest's problem by themselves without having to run and ask a manager first. It's basically you saying, "I trust you to handle this." And this, right here, is the magic ingredient that ties everything together. See, when you empower an employee to take care of a guest, you're not just getting the problem solved faster, you are sending a massive signal that says, I trust you, I value your judgment. And that feeling of being trusted and seen as important, that is a direct pipeline to that deep, lasting, intrinsic motivation.
So let's put it all together. What's in our leadership toolkit? Well, you communicate by truly listening. You guide your team with feedback that builds them up. You lead by being flexible and adapting your style. And then the ultimate goal, you motivate by empowering your team to be awesome. See how each one builds on the one before it? So we've laid out the blueprint for you, from something as simple as listening a little more closely to giving better feedback, or maybe even empowering a team member with a new responsibility. So now the question comes back to you. Which one of these powerful building blocks are you going to start with tomorrow?